Every team gets better through the draft.
New England Patriots
Select Kyle Duggar, Rob Gronkowski,
Willie McGinnis, Vince Wilfo,
Dante Hightower, Isaiah Wynn, Devin McCourty.
Just a very solid New England pick. He's also real good off the
New England Patriots select
This Patriots All Access Draft Special is brought to you by your Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters.
Hello and welcome to this special draft edition of Patriots All Access presented by GEICO. I'm Steve Burton. New England heads into the three-day draft armed with 9 selections. And with Bill Belichick's trading history, who knows how many picks they will make. There's a lot to unpack in this show. And we begin with Dan Roach setting the table for what should be an eventful few days.
The NFL offseason is in full swing. The heavy lifting is over for free agency, and the Patriots have addressed some needs. On the offensive side, the versatile Ty Montgomery has been brought in, while on defense, the Pats signed safety Jabril Peppers and cornerbacks Terrence Mitchell and Malcolm Butler, with Butler returning to the organization where he made a name for himself.
And it's good. Intercepted by Malcolm Butler.
I didn't expect to come back to New England, but I always have respect for the New England Patriots, Mr. Kraft, John Kraft, Bill Belichick.
More help has been added via the trade route. Matt Groh and Bill Belichick have acquired linebacker Mack Wilson from Cleveland, and on offense, veteran wide receiver Devontae Parker has been added from Miami.
I chose to get traded here, and it's something I'm looking forward to. And
with training camp still months away, there's time to add more talent through free agency and trades. But right now, the focus shifts to the draft, April 28th through the 30th. Owner Robert Kraft emphasized the importance of drafting last month.
That's the only way you can build your team for long-term and consistently that you have a chance of winning is having a good draft.
As for the team needs, adding speed to a defense that forced 0 punts in a 47-17 wildcard loss at Buffalo is one. Other priorities, protecting quarterback Mac Jones, so offensive line needs to be addressed, and adding a weapon or two for the offense would certainly help. Now, of course, the Patriots could move up or down in the first round. Steve, we know Bill Belichick, he's done it time and time again. Personally, wide receiver they'll address. I'd like to see them get either an offensive tackle or a fast linebacker, someone to get at it. Speed on defense. We saw them have problems in Buffalo.
All right, Rochi, good stuff. We'll be back with more on Patriots All Access right after this.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots. By Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots, proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off. And by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, official soft drink of the New England Patriots.
I'm Lauren Spencer with your latest Patriots Social Media Minute. Before Patriots returned to Foxborough for the start of the offseason program, Jalen Mills made time for one last exotic adventure. The Patriots cornerback went swimming with sharks off the coast of Florida last month and was sure to document the experience on Instagram. Kendrick Bourne's success on the football field has not come without the love and support of his family. So last week, he brought things full circle when he surprised his parents with a brand new house. Kendrick vlogged the special moment on his YouTube channel and said the luxury of buying his family a home was truly a blessing. Local artist Nick Shea recently took TikTok by storm when he became known as the $1 portrait guy for drawing sketches of those that visited him on Boston Common. And one of those visitors might look a little familiar to Patriots fans. Pat Patriot himself paid Nick a visit this month, and his artwork did not disappoint. That's all for our latest Patriots Social Media Minute. I'm Lauren Spencer.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access. Here we are the day before the NFL draft, and the head coach joins me, Coach Belichick. Coach, first of all, it's great to see you in person. Go back to the regular season. You guys
prepare all week, and you get tested every Sunday or Monday. So basically you're studying for that one test per week. We go to the draft, years of preparation. Your scouting department's involved, personnel department. How do you balance the two where you get tested during the year, but then now you got the one big test maybe you've been working on for 3 years?
Yeah, no, this is like the proverbial final exam. So we'll see what the questions are, and hopefully we're prepared to answer them.
All right, Coach, beginning of the week, I got all excited for draft week. You pulled off the trade to start the week with the Texans.
That was a blockbuster.
Blockbuster, genesis behind it. We all got a chuckle, but gives you some more picks, right?
Yes. It gives us kind of a 2-for-1 situation there. We felt like it was really about positioning. The trade was numerically equal.
When I was growing up, we always felt that the best athletes were quarterbacks. At least that's what my dad told me. It seems like times have changed where the best athletes on the field, the way you look at the game now, may be the wide receivers. What is the reason for the influx of so many wide receivers in the league, especially over the last couple of years? Is it the game has changed at the collegiate level, the high school level?
Well, there's certainly a lot more passing, so I think, with more balls in the air, maybe a little more value to the guys that are catching them, but I wouldn't argue with the quarterback thing. I think your dad's still right on that.
Dad's still right on that. That's good to know. Okay, mock drafts. Do you guys mock draft inside? At least you have to practice making picks and everything, right?
We kind of go through the process. It's probably similar to what a mock draft would be, but we don't follow somebody else's. We kind of do it ourselves.
You have the needs on one board, best available player in the draft left, and maybe that best available player you didn't think was going to be there when you pick for your need. How tough is that balance, making that pick?
Yeah, well, that's a decision for sure. I think the key thing, though, is you want to make sure the player that you take is good enough. He's a good enough player, because if he isn't, then you haven't really filled the need. Even if you have on paper, in the end, it's not going to work out. So you want to make sure that the players are good enough to actually make your team and contribute to your team if you take them.
Last one for you. When is the hay in the barn for Bill Belichick? When does he close the computer and say, we're ready to go, nothing else we can do? Or is that never the case?
Well, it really isn't the case, because it keeps changing. As players get picked in the first round, then, things unfold at the end of day one. Then you reset the board for, day two, which is rounds 2 and 3. And then at the end of Friday night, you reset the board. And so it's 3 separate drafts. Yeah. Certainly, a lot more on day 2 than you did on day 1, and day 3 on day 2. Players get picked, players come off the board. You're not working with as many names, but the process is kind of the same. You just reset the board.
All right, feels like a new year. Good luck tomorrow night, Coach.
All right.
Go get them.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, there you go. There's your head coach of the Patriots. More Patriots All Access Draft Special. We'll return right after this.
Welcome back to All Access, presented by GEICO. Nearly 30 years ago, yes, that's right, nearly 30 years ago, New England had the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. With much fanfare, they selected Washington State quarterback Drew Bledsoe. He was the face of the franchise for 9 seasons with the Patriots and was elected into the Team Hall of Fame in 2011. Over nearly 3 decades, Bledsoe has maintained a very unique relationship with his former boss, owner Robert Kraft. It was Kraft he called back in February to come visit in his hometown of Walla Walla, Washington, which is the home of his Doubleback Winery.
The Patriots select Drew Bledsoe, quarterback, Washington State University.
Come on in there, young man.
To have somebody tell you that you're going to be the first pick in the NFL draft is an extremely exciting situation.
Bledsoe back to throw, floats to the end zone, touchdown, the Patriots win! What a performance by the second-year quarterback this afternoon!
He came here and was part of the resurgence of football in the New England region.
I want to express my gratitude to the Kraft family and specifically to Robert Kraft. This honor means more to me than you can imagine. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Welcome to Walla Walla.
Hey.
How are you, boss? So glad you're here. Thank you, guys.
Too long.
I've been trying to get him to come out for years and years.
So where did you grow up?
I lived right over there, and then I'll show you when we come back to the airport. I'll drive you by the house that we lived in when I was in high school. Orlesky Stadium. That's where it all happened when I was in high school.
Played?
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking, I flew out here.
Yeah.
That was with Jonathan.
Yeah, it was almost 27 years ago when you guys flew out for our wedding. Yeah. And then you got and then you got us a great wedding gift when you drafted Terry Glenn for us. God rest his soul.
And look, you guys broke a record.
Yeah.
You were over 100.
He had over
106.
Yeah, and he missed 2 games.
Oh, look how cool this is. He was kind enough to give me an opportunity to invest in his vineyards when he started Doubleback.
So Doubleback Chardonnay for you.
Cheers! What an honor.
Cheers! Thank you so much for making the trip. A lot of what we do and a lot of what we talk about as a business ties back to what he's done in building the Patriots into what they are and what they've become.
Oh, I thought it was like.
Let's go upstairs. I talk about him a lot with our team, and it was important for me to have him come see that a lot of what we've done is in some ways a tribute to him and what he's built. I remember asking him, at one point, what's the one thing that separates you guys from everybody else? And he goes, it's not one thing, it's everything. We compete at everything and try to be best at concessions. I mean, you actually said this to me, and I don't know if you remember it, but we try to be the best at concessions. We try to be the best at parking. We try to be the best at salary cap management.
Thanks, that's beautiful. I'll tell you, being here and seeing all of you and seeing what's come to fruition is pretty special. So you're working with good people. That's part of the key to life. One of the reasons I bought the Patriots in '94 is because this guy was the #1 pick and the quarterback there.
So much of our team is so young that to have him show up and talk about me the way that he did, like some of these people realize, oh, okay, yeah, our boss, actually, did some shit back in the day.
He was the face of our franchise, and when you're a new owner coming into the NFL, there are a lot of challenges, and having him in our environment for 9 years was the greatest thing for me coming in as a new owner.
They realized that, this guy's a real person and also a really good person, right? A working relationship, boss, owner, player. It's a true friendship, and I tell them all the time, hey, when you talk, I actually listen.
People want to be connected to something. And I was so proud of him to see the team of people he's built and what he's done. And life is about special relationships. And he is in a unique category for me. I love him.
You've been able to be so successful and keep your soul intact. And I just love and admire that.
Being exposed to people like you.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots. By Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots, proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off. And by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, official soft drink of the New England Patriots.
Earlier this month, the Patriots announced one of the most impressive lists of finalists for their Hall of Fame. And now, you can decide who gets in. The polls are open, and Patriots fans are encouraged to vote for the finalist most deserving for induction. The 3 finalists are 6-time All-Pro and 6-time Pro Bowler offensive lineman Logan Mankins. One of the most versatile players, as well as one of the best free agent signings in team history, linebacker Mike Vrabel. And one of the best defensive linemen in franchise history, Vince Wilfork. Go to Patriots.com and cast your vote. Voting ends on May 16th.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access, everyone. You're at Bob's Discount Furniture Studios with Mike Weiss and Paul Perillo. Interesting options in the Hall of Fame. I know you guys are on the Hall of Fame committee. But now we turn to the draft.
Ooh, I love the draft, Steve.
We turn right away
Steve,
from that Wes Welker snub.
You know what, Steve, if I can just interrupt. I'm sorry, I have been given approval by our executive producer, Matt Smith, and the crew behind the scenes. We're talking about the draft. Before we can talk about the NFL, we got to talk about the WNBA. We want to congratulate you and everyone on the show.
Thank you.
For your daughter, Veronica Burton,
It's
7th
awesome,
overall
Thank
for
you
the
very
Dallas
much.
Wings. We are so proud of you
that.
and
Thank
your
you.
family here at
It was
All
awesome.
Access.
And Mike was all over it on Twitter that night. I was jumping. I let him do all the work, like I do on this show. But it's a great honor for you and your family. Congrats.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up, guys. Now to the draft, the NFL draft. They picked 21. Will they stay at 21, and who do they go with?
Yeah, my guess is they're not going to stay at 21. And when it comes to the draft, I know a lot of our colleagues might do a tremendous amount of research, and I respect a lot of that. I tend to listen to the way they talk about the class itself rather than the mock drafts, targeting individual players. Everybody talks about there not really being a glut of first-round talented players at the top of the draft, but a lot of good players in the draft. So doesn't that, to me, mean, trade down, add some more picks, and find a couple more second, third round kind of picks where everybody says is the meat of this draft?
And I agree with what Paul said, but here's what I would say might be the problem is if everyone's viewing it that way, it might be hard to trade down. And Bill Belichick always says, hey, we got to be prepared to pick a player. Like, I think if they could do what they did in 2020 when they went from 23 in the first round into the top of the second round and still got Kyle Duggar, who I really thought they would have taken at 23, in my opinion, if they had been stuck and couldn't trade down. I'll just throw a couple names at you. Let's say they get stuck and they have to pick at 21. I like Jordan Davis, big defensive tackle from Georgia, if he's there. Jamison Williams, the receiver from Alabama with the ACL, if he's there. Love that option. And Trent McDuffie, a cornerback from Washington. Just 3 names, just toss them out there.
Yeah, I like McDuffie. I also like Andrew Booth. I think the cornerback position in general, if the Patriots have to pick at 21 as a spot, they're going to look long and hard at, because I do think that's a major need. I would stick on defense, too. Any of the Georgia guys, Nakobe Dean, a linebacker, a little bit undersized for the way the Patriots like to play, but so athletic, Steve. I think he's that sideline-to-sideline playmaker that a lot of teams are starting to gravitate towards. So those Georgia there's a reason why Georgia won the national title. You go and look at all of these pre-draft publications, the entire defense is going to get drafted probably in the first 2 days.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Give me one name out of the blue.
I love it.
That you expect to be on the...
Throw a dart, Paul.
Throw a dart.
Throw a dart.
Yeah, I'm going to look at a receiver. Probably a guy with some slot capabilities in the middle rounds, a third-round guy out of Boise State, Khalil Shakir. A little bit bigger, 6-foot guy, but really runs well, does a lot of different things. In athletic, I think he could maybe factor in. When I watched a little of his tape, and again, we're watching highlights, just kind of looked like a Patriots kind of guy, just, productive, made some big plays, and I think it would fill a need.
I'm going to go with Wyoming linebacker Chad Muma. And he's sort of that off-the-line linebacker position. And here's why, from my scouting, Paul, right? Like, we don't look at it as closely as all
when
these
you were back
coaches.
looking at Cash
right?
Maluia, this guy caught your eye.
Right. It was actually when I was watching the Super Bowl, and I saw this Logan Wilson of the Cincinnati Bengals, number
Terrific
55.
player.
I said, who is this guy? And he's all over the field. And I said, he should be a Patriot. And the Patriots had just missed out on him. They traded up and took Josh Uche when they could have had Logan Wilson. And to me, they can make up for that by getting Wilson's teammate, Chad Muma. So that's my advanced scouting report. And I'll add Alec Lindstrom from Boston College, a local guy, later round guy. Okay. Try to throw 2 in there, 2 darts at the board, Paul. Maybe we hit one.
He'll probably get them both. He's hot.
All right, guys, well, you're both hot for that matter. Thank you very much. That'll do it for this week's edition of Patriots All Access. We'll see you next week to wrap it all up. Have a great night, everybody.